Greetings, Legionnaires, and welcome back to the Wrestling Legion Weekly podcast. We had a bit of time away. Sorry, jet lag kind of killed us all, but we're back. We're happy. I'm Nick the Geek, and I'm joined today by two fantastic friends, two fantastic minds, two fantastic blokes. I'm joined by Ever as my partner in crime, a new fresh-faced Simon. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling naked, mate. Yeah, but it's been a great day. It's been a great day. Liverpool beat Spurs 4-3. I'll gladly talk about that for an hour if you'd like.
No, this is a wrestling podcast. There'll be none of that nonsense here.
Yeah, good point. All right.
Yeah. And unless things change, it will always be a wrestling podcast. We will never talk football, especially never Liverpool.
Not if I had my way. Right, and we are joined, of course, by the Redeemer himself. We are joined by Andy. Andy, my good man, how are you?
All good, mate. And obviously, just to take it on the chin, I apologise for last week. Family stuff got in the way, and it was my fault that we didn't go live. So apologies about that, guys.
It's all right, mate. We told you, family comes first here. Right, first off, I'd like to give Simon an open floor. Because Simon, for the past several weeks, has been asking quite a poignant question. At first, I thought, nah, don't worry about it, Si. It's guaranteed to be a pay-per-view.
I had
but
to.
Now,
Oh,
it appears that it still has not been confirmed. So I'd like to give you an open floor to explain this issue.
All right. So the issue for me personally is we were over the moon when it was announced that AEW was going to run a show at Wembley Stadium. It's like, you know, all your Christmases coming at once. First thought was, I've got to get tickets. We've all got to go to that. I'm going to drive a 440-mile round trip. See AEW live. It's going to be amazing. But then we've had a couple of weeks of uncertainty. We've spent 2 weeks, or personally, I've spent 2 weeks trying to get to the bottom of this mystery. So All Out is still scheduled for 6 days later. So is Tony Khan going to run 2 pay-per-views within the space of a week? Or is the Wembley show being sold to desperate, passionate United Kingdom fans under a little bit of a mysterious guise? Are they selling what you assume is a pay-per-view just to find out it's not actually a pay-per-view? So I've been trying to find out what the truth is.
Well, I do have a little bit of information, which I thought I'd inform on you on this one. Okay. It turns out, because I was watching Wrestling Club on YouTube, shout out, very good channel, the other day, and someone has reported that it is rumoured that the Wembley show will be broadcast on HBO's streaming service.
Max. Yes.
Max.
Yeah. In which case, technically, it will become AEW's first Premier League, which is cool and will be cool to go to. But, you know, tickets go on sale on Tuesday for those that subscribe to the pre-sale. So we literally have 2 days now without still getting confirmed what we're actually buying. That's my pet peeve. But yeah, I'm sure it's going to be a great show regardless. But I'm sure there's also lots of other people like me who don't want to travel all that way for a show that might not be as big as we're being led to believe it's going to be.
I'm just going to do this, mate. So I don't know what this means, anything or not. But if you share the screen here, share. Let me know when you can see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really say nothing on this in terms of it just got All Out.
It doesn't say pay-per-view. It doesn't say house show.
It doesn't say anything. But
yeah,
if you go to, let me just stop sharing that, and then I will share the screen again. Entire screen. So when you Google it, though, it does come up. The 2023 All In, also known as All In London, is the upcoming All in Professional Wrestling pay-per-view.
Yep.
So it's what you believe.
If you believe what Max Caster said, then All Out is the pay-per-view 6 days later. It's making sense.
But here's the thing, Si, and I've been saying this. My brother has also been saying this. It's at Wembley Stadium.
Yes.
If they'd said Wembley Arena, this was going to be a house show.
Yeah.
The fact that it's at Wembley Stadium. Hey, Jimmy. Hello, sir. Good to see you.
Hey, Jim.
What's happening, Jimbo?
Yeah. All right. So the Wembley Stadium. Plus, they've used the All-In branding. They've had 4 years to use the All-In branding, and they chose to use it for this specific show. That tells me this is a pay-per-view.
Yeah, but the fact that it's a pay-per-view 6 days later tells me it's not.
Fair argument.
Yeah, it's just some clarity would be great.
I mean, one thing that we can say as well is, if you look at the Saudi show, for instance, it's only 2.5 weeks after, 2 weeks after the Backlash pay-per-view. So,
Yeah, and Forbidden Door and Double or Nothing are only 3 or 4 weeks apart. So, there is precedence for it. But it would just be nice to know. We're still kind of none the wiser.
I mean, the other thing I'd say is I don't believe AEW would do it in the fact of us British fans are very fickle. And as much as it may do us well in the short term, long term, they might get a bit of thing out of it. I don't think there's wrestlers there that are very, very experienced wrestlers, the likes of Jericho's and everybody else. And I think he would be told very quickly that, if you do this, you'll lose wrestling. You'll lose the UK market.
Funnily enough, on that note, I was thinking about this just the other day. I don't know if you guys remember this. I think it was the year 2000, and WCW came over here, did a couple of shows, and I remember it being on Granada Reports, a local news channel, saying how so many fans were complaining because they'd advertised Goldberg, Kevin Nash, a couple of other big names who weren't going to make the trip. So that was a case of like local media picking up the fact that what the company was selling was being misrepresented. It was kind of being off-sold,
I tend to agree with Andy. I think there's enough guys that have got enough experience with the British market, they've got enough experience with the wrestling market to tell Tony that this has to be the big show you're promising.
Yeah. I think it embarrassed him as well because, let's face it, Money in the Bank's going to be good. Clash of the Castle was very good. So there's a presence there that I think he's got to push it out there to actually do anything. Also, just to give you a little thing, flash that up there. This is the, sorry about the quality of it. But this is the ticket map for AEW.
Looks like the Death Star plans.
Yeah. So here's the ring. This is the official plan. So there's the ring, and then this is the thing here. Which again, I'm not sure how that's going to work because surely they will have a big stage.
You'd think so, unless they decide to do a Royal Rumble 2000 and have a very small decorated entranceway down the tunnel.
I mean, the thing is, at oh god, no, Clash of the Castle. They only had a very small entrance. They did not have a big Titans run or anything like that.
SummerSlam 92 didn't have a big stage.
Yeah.
So we didn't really have the Titantrons then, did we? So
true.
Yeah.
True.
No, but the WWE didn't at all. It was very, very small. You could just about see the entrance at Clash of the Castle. So I don't know whether that's something to go off as well. But
those ticket prices on that chart you just showed, they're a little bit more believable than the first one that went round. Because there was one of these went round about a week earlier that had like the highest price seating going up to like £200. I was like, no, that can't be real. That can't be real.
This was actually because people have already bought tickets, believe it or not, because they actually messed up on the pre-sale. And some people,
I believe there was a glitch, for Fight TV customers or something. But
I mean, if you look at this, just I'm trying to think about where's where here, and it's like P2, which is just behind the main thing, is £400, which is quite silly, really. But even the red ones, if you look at the red one there. I believe the red will be a good view because that's just kind of just up a little bit. But I believe if you look at the green ones that are going for the purple, I believe, as you always says this site, it's like you kind of just behind the front and you can't really see a lot.
Oh God, man! I've been to enough shows that if you can't get in the front 3 rows on the floor, go in the tier.
Yeah, and the good thing at Wembley is I don't know how many times you've been to Wembley, but it's the actual pitch level is sunken down.
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
Yeah. So as you know yourself, Si, if you're up, you can see into it, can't you?
Ask me when I've been to Wembley.
I don't want to know, Si. I don't want to know.
No.
Well, the first time, funnily enough, was 1986. It was a certain cup final in 1986. And who was playing that day? I can't remember.
I don't know.
Anyway, moving on. So, sticking with AEW, boys. It was recently announced by Tony Khan, who is exceptionally excited, as he always is, that we are getting an Owen Hart Cup 2. That's going to finish at the moment on a random house show in Canada, which is funny because it's on a Saturday night at 8 p.m., which is strangely enough just about the same time spot that the new Collision show is supposed to be getting. They're going to run 2 on pay-per-view. Some of the matches are going to be done at Double or Nothing. They're going to run them in the Canada house shows. Didn't WCW run a big show with the largest crowd ever for a wrestling show that was never seen?
You talk about Collision in Korea or something like that. No,
Collision in Korea. Collision in Korea was the largest wrestling show of all time. Over 110,000 people attended live, and that was confirmed. The main event was Ric Flair versus Antonio Inoki, and Antonio Inoki pretty much stopped a diplomatic incident during that trip because he's an absolute legend. God rest him.
Sorry, Jimmy. If you're available, mate, and you're active, do you want to jump in if I send you the link while we're live?
Yeah.
Well,
great to see you, Jim.
I'm trying to think what that show was that Jimmy's talking about. I know WCW did the first ever internet only show back in 96, somewhere around there.
Yeah, they did.
I remember watching it in 28.k dial-up,
and technically,
you could barely tell what was going on.
And technically, they stole that from ECW because ECW did CyberSlam in 1995, which was the first ever live internet broadcast, and it was the worst quality show in the history of professional wrestling, both for the wrestling and for the picture quality, because it was if you had internet back in 1995, it was horrendous.
Just to give you the 5 biggest shows for WCW, it was Collision in Korea was number 1. Right. WCW New Japan Super Show 1, 3, and 2 were 2, 3, and 4, and then Slamboree 99 was number 5. So I don't know where that one. Maybe try and elaborate a little bit for us, Jimbo, about what you mean and which the show.
I think the point Jim's making is that AEW, if Wembley should end up not being a pay-per-view, or even, God forbid, being a house show, it won't be the first time that an American company's made that mistake internationally.
Yeah. I just can't see it, mate. I can't see how you'd expect to do Wembley, especially where I think they've got something big planned for it just based on that ticket map. Just based on that ticket map, I think they're going to do something massive.
I mean, I know what I want to see. How do you guys feel about this, right? If tickets are on sale Tuesday, and I think we're going to buy them regardless now, but if you get there at Wembley and we get to see, personally, I'm lucky to say the second time in my life, Bryan Danielson against Nigel McGuinness. That's what I want to main event the Wembley show.
Yeah, which I can see happening.
I think they're going to main event with Jamie Hayter versus Paige. Saraya and Jamie Hayter.
Yeah.
They get that show. That match is going to be on that show.
It'll be on that show, but I don't think it'll main event it.
I'm also really, and you're going to hate me for saying this, Andy, but there's a good chance we might see Goldberg.
Now, do you know one thing I'm going to say? Just because you said that, the rule is still there, and it's just great being a technical guy sometimes because I can just remove naughty people for saying naughty things. The best thing is I can just put myself back in.
Back over there, you. Right. Anyway, moving on from Wembley. We've covered it enough. The Owen Hart tournament is back. It's going to be run on pay-per-view. It's going to be run in Canada, and it's going to finish up in Calgary. Yes. What are our thoughts on this? Because the last Owen Hart tournament didn't really do anything for Adam Cole and Britt Baker. So do you think that this year maybe they're going to use this thing to elevate somebody? Or do you think Tony's going to make the same mistake?
No, I think, to be fair, Martha Hart will probably make a point of saying something as well as when you were trying to establish something new, you always need the precedent stage, which is, again, sorry to go back to it, but why we're saying about the London show is if this is going to be a regular thing or something they're going to do, they need to set a precedent. Same with the Owen Hart Cup, is your first winners need to be somebody good because you need to set that precedence and that prestige of, well, Britt Baker and Adam Cole are two really cool wrestlers who, you know, bring a lot of credibility towards that. Now we've had that, we need to move on from that, and I think that's where we're going with this now. Yeah.
Couldn't agree more. I think that they need to pick somebody who is preferably, I think Jungle Boy personally, because he's not going to win the world title in that 4-way. I think Jungle Boy perfectly would be a brilliant winner for the men for the Owen Hart Cup. He's one of the pillars of the company. He's very much on the rise. He's very popular young star, and he could do with some kind of big win because he's never really got one. So, 1, who do you want to win? And 2, who do you think should win?
All right, who do I want to win? I'm going to go for the same pick as last year. And I think he went out in the first round or the second round last year, and that is Chris Jericho. Reason being, he actually wrestled Owen Hart. And I think that's why that would have been poignant. But anyway, who do I think should win? I think you need to give it to one of the many guys that is being underpushed. You know, somebody like Commander, I don't think has won a match yet. Bandito, an up-and-coming young talent who is a high flyer, like Owen Hart always was, who will do something with it, you know.
Darby?
I think Darby's maybe a little bit beyond that already. Ricky Starks would be a great choice.
Ricky Starks would be a great choice. I agree. Andy, what about you? Who do you want to win, and who do you think should win?
Who I'd like to win, and I'd just like to win just because of the fact that there's 2 people I wouldn't mind winning this, and that's Sean Spears or Ethan Page. Both Canadian wrestlers got that.
Yeah. Very nice.
Both of them floating about a little bit, or, you know, if we go the Canadian route to boot. But yeah, no, I'd like to see some Canadians winning on that side of things. On the women's side, again, it's quite hard to pick who I'd want to win it. I think
Taya's Canadian, isn't she?
Who? Sorry,
Taya Valkyrie.
Yeah,
Taya Valkyrie.
Yeah.
Or the bunny. The bunny would be a good one for me. Original AEW, Canadian, not really doing much at the moment. Do something like that with it. It'll give it a bit of prestige. I think my real heart would love Christian to win it.
That would be amazing. Just because he's such a dick and would lord it over everybody for the entire year. It would be fantastic.
He would, and also because he's been such a supporter of Canada as a whole, and he's always proud to be Canadian, proud to be this. You know, you could have that Brett scenario going where he goes to Canada, he's the hero, wins it there, and then comes back and everyone still hates him the next week. You know, it's perfect.
It's a good pick because, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Christian actually made his pay-per-view debut against Owen Hart.
Possibly.
I think it was Over the Edge or something like that, 98. I think September pay-per-view. 98. I'm pretty sure Christian got his debut against Owen.
Let me have a look.
This is where we find out if I've got a broken memory or not.
Keep going while I'm.
Yeah, but it's going to be a good tournament. I don't think they did enough with it last year. I mean, it was good having a couple winning. It was a feel-good tournament. But I'm always up for a good tournament. You know, there's not enough tournaments in wrestling for me.
No. And just to confirm, he didn't debut. He debuted while Edge was wrestling Owen Hart at Breakdown in Your House in September.
It was Edge. My bad. Okay.
In 1998.
Yeah.
But he interfered in that match. So realistically,
match. Yeah.
You are correct in that, because he did debut in that pay-per-view. That was his first time in the WWE, and it was also the fact that he debuted in a match that featured Owen Hart. So you're correct.
Yeah. But myself, like I said, I think Jungle Boy is going to win it. But I'm with you, Andy. I'd really like to see Ethan Page win this tournament. Like, I'm a massive fan of Ethan. I think he's a tremendous person. He's a tremendous wrestler, and he works very, very hard. And he's not really been given his due since he got to AEW, and I think it'd be a good step in that direction. But as far as the girls go, it's very hard. But I'd like Willow Nightingale to win it. I think Willow's very, very popular. She's very hard worker. She's great in the ring. She's got a good character. She's got a gimmick down. Why not give it to Willow? She could use that tournament to help elevate her as a character, because at the moment she's just getting squashed on AEW every week and then wins on Ring of Honor. So
she's essentially a female Willie Mack at the minute. You know, she's a feel good. Comes out with a good vibe, a lot of positivity, does a few good moves, and generally doesn't win much. Which is it'd be good for her. Yeah,
good. But moving on from the Owen Hart Cup, but technically sticking with AEW, because an AEW contracting star showed up at Impact the other night. That one being, because we can't have a week without news about CM Punk. It's not possible anymore. So CM Punk has shown up at Impact. He's been backstage. He's been taking photos with people. This comes just after he showed up at WWE, because they happen to be in Chicago as well. And then when he showed up in New Japan, because they happen to be in Chicago as well. He's clearly got the wrestling bug back. This is how I take it. Anybody he wants to be associated with again, and I would assume he's trying to repair his public image a bit. So what are our thoughts on this? How does this affect him coming back to AEW? Does this affect him coming back to AEW? I don't think it does either. Andy, go.
No, it doesn't affect him at all. I think Punk's got a lot of friends in the wrestling industry. He's going to go around to see them. You know, this happens all the time. There was Weekley used to was backstage at, was it Royal Rumble, was it?
Yeah.
And, you know, there's been loads of Dante Martin was backstage with Cody at one event as well. It's not a big deal. Well. Yeah, it used to happen back in the day all the time, didn't it, without people even realising it. I do think the timing of the Impact one is a bit suspect in the sense of, because he done it with WWE, he's probably gone to there to say, look, guys, I do this all the time, and I go to everyone, rather than, you know, as a bit of a save face of what turned up at the WWE one. Do you get me?
Apparently Mercedes was there as well at Impact, and it was Mercedes and Trinity that invited Phil. I don't know how true that is. Again, you know, if you read it on the internet, it's not always true. But there's two ways you can look at this for me. It's like, is Phil Brooks networking, kind of trying to put right what once went wrong, get a little bit of momentum behind him, knowing he's going to get more heat from the AEW fans for doing it?
Ooh.
Or Jay White's a good pick.
Jay White's a very good pick.
Sure about Ruby. Or is Phil literally trying to get himself fired? Is he trying to get out of his contract? Has anyone thought about that?
No, I don't think that would be the case, because I know they have a bit of a thing between the two of them as well, don't they?
No, I know Impact don't technically have a working relationship anymore, but they're still friendly. But there you go. Mercedes and Trinity invited him, apparently, probably because he stood up for them, which makes perfect sense because he did.
Yeah.
But moving on that subject, because we don't really need to carry on talking about CM Punk all night. We do that every week anyway. We're going to stick with Trinity Fatu, who fantastically made her debut in Impact Wrestling. Thank God for her. At the recent tapings. Simon, I know you're a big Naomi/Trinity fan. You always have been. You've been a proponent of her for years. Do you think this is a good move for her? Do you think she would have been better in Japan? Do you think maybe this is a step down from where she could be? Do you think Impact's the right place?
Yeah. I mean, I would rather have seen her feature as the lead female in the Bloodline story. But making the best out of the leftovers. I believe she wanted to go to Stardom and they didn't want to pay her what she asked for. I believe GCW said the same. And then to turn up an Impact, it's so hard to think that Impact, who are notorious for paying,
Pittance.
I won't say a pittance, but their wages are slightly lower than like a lot of televised wrestling companies. The fact she's ended up there and accepted that deal when Stardom didn't give her what she wanted. And I think maybe, honestly, guys, she's picked up what was Mickie James's money.
That would make a lot of sense.
That
would make a lot of sense.
It's a good thing for Impact. The Impact Women's Division has always been one of my favorites. They've got a really strong women's division, and I think she'll do great there. Do I think she'll be there in 6 months? No. I think it's a short-term short-term deal, but we'll see.
Well, I'm hoping it's a long-term thing, personally, because I think Impact need that veteran in the women's division.
A veteran?
Yeah.
Naomi's been around for a long time.
Yeah, like 13 years, man. Yeah.
That's enough time to be considered a veteran. And they don't, with Mickey going, they don't really have one anymore. She's a girl that's been to the biggest dance at the end of the day, she's a girl that's been on the top of the mountain, biggest company in the world. She can help anyone else.
But can she? But can she though, Nick? Because the other thing is as well is, where did she wrestle before WWE?
Nowhere, to be fair.
So if you're looking for someone to help you climb to the top and all the rest of it, well, she didn't have to, because she just got in there through the back door and then.
But she still knows how to operate within that system.
Within WWE, but she doesn't know how to operate outside it.
No, but that's a learning procedure she'll go through as well from being taught by the talent she works with. It'll be a two-way street.
Yeah, but that's what I don't agree with, because I think that she's going to spend her time getting her head around it, where I don't think she'll teach many people much stuff. She might be able to give them bits of advice on what WWE like and what the thing does. But then, if you're the higher brass in TNA, or in Impact, do you want her doing that?
Well, in that case, do you think she chose Impact Wrestling because it was the most cohesively similar to the structure of WWE?
No.
Okay.
I've just fact-checked you. Sorry, Andy. I just fact-checked, mate. And I'm afraid you're wrong. She's wrestled in 2 other companies apart from WWE. So she's wrestled in FCW and NXT. Yeah.
Piss off. But no, in all seriousness, I think she picked Impact because I think when her and Sasha, I call her Sasha because that's what she was at the time. When them two were at WWE and they were very frustrated with the direction and the characters and everything else, Impact will potentially give her the freedom to develop something and show people what she can do for herself.
Yes.
And I think that's probably one of the and also with it being in an episodic type of way, like with Mercedes now, I'm not being funny or nothing yet. All right, it's being great and I'm money and I'm this and I'm that. Like, she's had a couple of matches and that's about it. Have we actually learned anything more about it, or have we seen her grow or develop or anything? No.
I think, to be honest, if you're a big fan of companies like Stardom, like our good buddy on the mat is, then it's a big deal. But to the other 95% of the wrestling fans around the world, she's kind of
not asked.
Yeah.
And that's the thing where Naomi going to Impact and you're getting that episodic exposure while developing a character and being able to do all that stuff. Yeah. And then that's good for her. But also, let's not forget, she can still go out and do every single WrestleCon she wants on a weekend. Mm-hmm. She can go and pop anywhere else she wants. That's the freedom of Impact.
There's an advantage to that freedom and flexibility of taping like 6 weeks of TV at once, like they do at Impact. Because, like you say, you make 6 times the money for doing a couple of matches and a couple of talkie spots over a weekend, and then you're free to do whatever else you want. So it does work like that for her. But I mean, I'm excited to see Trinity against Rosemary, Trinity against Gianna Peruzzo, Trinity against Jordan Grace. There's some great matches there. Yeah.
To be honest, I'm more excited to see what she actually does. I'm intrigued to see which route she goes down, because I don't know any of you guys watched Total Divas back in the day, but I used to watch it quite religiously because it was the only program I could get my missus to watch with me. And on Total Divas, you actually see where she went and pitched the glow gimmick to them, and it was all her that was with all this glow gimmick, and they said, okay, let's try it out, and then she developed it from there. So she's already shown there that she can do some development in that type of way. So
could they also be that something is being set up with, I know Mercedes' deal is with Stardom and not New Japan, or the other way around, but there's rumors about whether she can or can't be at Forbidden Door. Do you think we'll see them both at Forbidden Door in some capacity?
I doubt we'll see Trinity, honestly, at Forbidden Door, because it's Impact and it's a New Japan AEW show. I don't see a lot of Impact guys being on that show. I do honestly think we get Mercedes versus Jade at Forbidden Door, though. I think that's the biggest match they can put on.
Next year's Multiverse of Matches, you could do something with Naomi and Trinity there if she's still there. Possibly. Because that's Impact and New Japan. yeah, no, it's interesting.
Very possible.
It's a bit of a surprise move, isn't it? It's not what we thought she'd end up doing.
At the end of the day, there's so many places. The good thing is there's so many places for wrestlers to work now that they can effectively choose where they want to go. And I hope she's made the right decision. I hope Impact's the best place for her. And I hope her career just skyrockets from here because she's a very, very talented lady and deserves the best.
Yes. Impact isn't what it was, but it was a good temporary home for guys like Cody a few years ago. It's made people like Josh Alexander. Drew was there, for a little bit. It's made people like Josh Alexander, LA Knight. You know, he made his name for himself winning the Impact belt.
Rebuilt Bobby Lashley.
Yes. Yeah, Bobby Lashley's feud with Brian Cage in Impact was great. I still love
MVP.
Yep.
MVP's done really well there. There's a lot there, and you can do well there. You know, Kurt Angle done well there for a number of years, didn't he?
Christian Cage.
Yeah.
Its Impact has always been very good at rejuvenating a star's career, if that's the best way to put it. And I think that they'll probably do a good job in Naomi.
Yep.
Right, moving on though, guys. Back to AEW for a little bit before we hit to the main event of the day. This week on Dynamite, we are getting Jon Moxley versus Kenny Omega in a cage match. And Double or Nothing is right round the corner. Well, it's a few weeks away, but it's still pretty close. Do we think, as you put it earlier, Simon, this is a bit of a WCW move in giving away a pay-per-view quality match on a TV show that should be saved for Double or Nothing? Or do you think that this is a necessary step in the story to get to whatever big match they are doing at Double or Nothing?
All right, let me put it this way. So if the cage match, it might not even be the main event. It might be the opener, but it's got to be one or the other with having the old-fashioned cage for time to set it up. But if the cage match ends up having interference from Takeshita and Don Callis, and they turn on Kenny, setting up some kind of Blackpool Combat Club versus the Elite 4-on-4, 5-on-5, whatever, great. If it has a clean finish, then it absolutely should have been saved for Double or Nothing.
I'd agree with that. Andy, do you think they're giving this one away, or do you think it should have been the pay-per-view? I myself think it's there because it's going to be a necessary step in the story.
But that's the thing, isn't it? You know, I'll go back to us guys walking out of WrestleMania night 2, and some of the results after that one, and we basically turned around and said, as much as I'm a bit peeved now with what's gone on here, I'm going to reserve any angriness until we see where we're going with this. I think we done the same thing after Raw with Lesnar. Where again was like, okay, well, let's see where this goes. And I think that's where we're at with this one. I don't think you can really comment on this until we see what the plan is. Because hopefully there's as Sai says there, it's where is this going to develop to? If it's a pot shot and it's a clear match and we move on, then that's fine as long as they move on to something great. If it's a bit of a screwy finish and we move on to something else, again, that's fine. If it's just one and done and then we move on and it's nothing's really happening to get to the next thing, then I'd be annoyed.
Yeah, so would I. I think this has to, as I said, I think this is going to be a necessary step in the story with some kind of shenanigans involved that's going to move it forward, because I'm under the assumption Takeshita is going to join the Blackpool Combat Club and Kota Ibushi is going to be brought in alongside Hangman Page to then give the Elite 5 people to go up against him. At least that's my ideal situation in my head. I don't know if that's what Tony Khan's going to do. None of us do, but that's what I'd like to see. But anyway, moving on to the main event, because there's quite a lot to talk about here. This Friday saw the start of the WWE draft, which will be brought on to tomorrow. Now, this saw such shocking changes as Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa staying on SmackDown.
Okay. Can I just read out this list, please? And then we'll discuss it all, because I think it's the best that we do this. Round 1, Undisputed Universal Champion Roman Reigns. They're still calling on that, even though they've got a new belt coming. Solo Sikoa and Paul Heyman, the Bloodline. They made sure they said the Bloodline, which is interesting because where's Jay and Jimmy?
Then
we have Bianca Belair to Raw. Bianca Belair to SmackDown. Becky Lynch to Raw. SmackDown, Montez and Angelo makes sense because of Bianca. Now, this one for me is very important, and I'll go back to this in a minute. Intercontinental Champion Gunther, Ludwig Kaiser, and Giovanni Vinci, the Imperium, are moving to Raw. I'll go back to why in a minute. SmackDown, Edge. Raw, Matt Riddle. Very important again. Bobby Lashley, SmackDown. Raw, Drew McIntyre. SmackDown, the OC, AG, Mitchin, Luke, and Carl. Miz, Raw. Bailey, Dakota, and Io, SmackDown. Shinsuke, Raw. SmackDown, Big Chin and Alba Fair and Asadon. Yeah.
Can I interrupt you there just for a second, mate? Did anyone hear out SmackDown how Michael Cole pronounced Isla Dawn's name? He'd obviously never heard it before in his life, and he just read it because he called her Isla Dawn. It was fantastic.
Okay. I'm going to stick up for Michael Cole here. I really am going to stick up for Michael Cole. Right? So Michael Cole is a very small guy, right? and Dawn has a massive chin. So he would not be able to see the actual mouth, the pronunciation of what was being said when she's probably stated her name to him. Just to give you a bit of an idea, it was probably like that.
To be fair though, you're like 7 foot, dude. Everyone's small to you.
Yeah, everyone's short next to you.
But yeah, when she's got a big chin, he wouldn't be able to see over it.
Like a white
Raw, NXT champion Indy Hartwell. And then on the SmackDown Lowdown, which was yesterday, we had Eric and the Viking Raiders, Dexter Lumis, Candice LeRae, Mace Mansour, and Maxine Dupree, Maximum Male Models, Zoe Stark, JJ McNaughton, Apollo Crews, Natalia, Sonia, and Chelsea to Raw. SmackDown, Top Dollar, Ashanti, Hit Row, and Lacey Evans. And then we've got three free agents, Omos, Mustafa Ali, and Dolph Ziggler. Now, just to, being a free agent at the moment does not state that you will be a free agent forever. So I suppose that could still change. We may have some bits and bobs that go on that. And just let you know that the roster takes effect after Backlash.
Yeah.
That's not the reason.
Yeah.
Listening to the list and watching it all transpire, there's one name there that you came up with, right? Is it just me, guys? Seriously, what is the big freaking deal with Indy Hartwell? Right? She's not that good in the ring. She's not got a good look. She's not a good talker. Why? Why when you've got women like Meiko Satomura, Gigi Dolan? No.
Don't you
I'm making a point.
No. Don't you bring that woman up here. Don't you even suggest that offense to the sport of professional wrestling goes on the main roster.
Do you think, let's just say the lady that shall not be named, do you honestly think that Indy Hartwell is better than her?
No, but I've got a theory.
You're as deluded as a psychotropic pea. Does that
no. Indy Hartwell has about as much talent as a squashed insect.
Okay, I've got a bit of a working theory.
I think I know what it is. Go on.
Okay, so I think we'll get that eventually. But I think the whole reason of winning the NXT Championship, the call up with the NXT Championship, I believe, is all designed to give Indy credibility. And WWE love a good marketing tool, so what better than to have a show in Australia with your Australian champion, Rhea Ripley, versus your Australian challenger, Indy Hartwell.
That is an unfortunate possibility.
Women on that NXT roster that deserved it a lot more. Cora Jade. The list goes on.
Yeah, I know, but what I'm saying is, from a marketing perspective, does that work?
They've got lots of guys and girls in NXT that are
Australian women,
Australian and New Zealand. So they got Grayson Waller, they got Andre Chase.
Women. That's what I'm saying. It's a woman.
I don't watch NXT side, so.
All right. Yeah, I mean, okay.
Yeah. Honest to God, say that's the only thing I've been thinking is that why?
Because the tour's coming up, very possibly. But then, like we've seen, I think Shawn Michaels, right, who did one of the draft announcements, obviously still running, booking NXT. I think he's going to do whatever he can to get the belts off those that are being called up, off them before they're called up.
Yeah, I mean, do you know what? I've just shot myself in the foot there as well because I didn't even think of Emma. Emma's Australian. You probably could have done it with her.
Honestly, dude. Okay, so even if you're Australian, right, which I'm not, and I never will be, but even if you are, and you're probably more WWE wrestling starved than we are here in the UK. You know, you get very few big shows. Who on earth, apart from our close friends and family, are there really going to be that many Australians buy a ticket to see Indy Hartwell?
I don't know, because that's what people are like, tribal, aren't they? You know what I mean? And it was the same reason why they threw Drew in against Roman at Clash of the Castle.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, but never got the appeal of a Scottish guy challenging in Wales. It made no sense.
But that's why that was their reasoning. Yeah,
but Drew's a very big deal in the company. He's a massive star. Indy's not. She's only just won the NXT title. She got injured in the first title match. She's not ready. That's the way I look at it. Is she's not ready to be on the main roster, and I think she's going to get exposed.
She was with Persia, who's now hanging around with Matt Cardona, and she was the much better of the two all round. You know, one got let go, and the other one is Indy Hartwell. What is she like the new Tamina?
Right. But onto this draft. After hearing all of the people that have been drafted, I would like to throw 4 names at you: Dolph Ziggler, Mustafa Ali, Omos, and NXT's Von Wagner. None of these men were drafted in the pool, and they have all been announced as free agents. And apparently, in story, MVP negotiated for Omos. Now, the draft is supposed to be a hard brand split. Having free agents negates it being a hard brand split. On Monday, are there going to be more free agents announced after they have it?
But nobody has said that won't be the case.
There will be more announced. We've still got 3/4 of this draft left, or 3/4 for our American viewers. We've still, you know, they've split it into 4. The draft we had on Friday was 1/4. So with there being 4 names left undrafted, it's likely there'll be another 12 by the time it's finished. So exactly. You could have up to 16 people that can turn up anywhere. Why? If you're going to do it, draw a line. And apart from Royal Rumble and Survivor Series and maybe one cross-brand match at WrestleMania, knock it on the head.
I completely agree. I want to see branded PLEs.
Okay, one thing I will say though as well is how many, if they're still got a hiring freeze on and they're not hiring any new people, and you know how many contracted superstars do they have? Would it not make sense to have a couple of them that were free agents that could pop up and plug in where needed? Because it's not like we're saying that Roman Reigns is a free agent here. You know what I mean? We're talking.
I understand
it.
Yeah. Okay. Let's say that would make sense, but don't announce it. Just leave them unannounced, and then they can pop up where they want and be announced then. You know,
it's just. I mean, for me, like I said, I want to see the return of branded PLEs. Where they did it in 2002, where you'd have a Raw show, a SmackDown show, then a cross-branded show. Each show gets 8 weeks of build. Which is more than enough time to build to a pay-per-view. You can run
some of those shows are really bad.
War within the own company.
For me, I would rather see one company, one roster. You know, you've got direct competition now from all over the place. You don't need to create your own competition anymore.
No, but if they're splitting the brands, that's still how they view it.
Yes, but if you are doing it and you are splitting it, then do it.
No, I'll tell you what. Do you know what? It's not because they see any kinds of competition or anything like that, Nick. The reason they split the brands is the reason they've always done it. Is even when you come to the UK, right? Is in the UK you will have Monday Night Raw in Manchester, and you will have a SmackDown house show in Newcastle, and that's the way that they run it now, and that's the way they will run it with them brand splits. So when you get mucky in the waters of who's going to appear and who doesn't. What you tend to see is attendances go down and stuff. But if you know 100% that your guys who are on the SmackDown house show are going to be at the SmackDown house show because all the rest of the guys are going to be at Raw, then, that's where you'll start building. And I think that's the kind of route that they're going down for that. It's a revenue stream, isn't it? It's a massive revenue thing.
It's a revenue stream, but they're also promoting tribalism among fans, which is bad enough as it is, considering if you're a wrestling fan, just enjoy wrestling of all kinds, depending on what it is. Not every single type of company is for everybody else. But WWE is WWE. It doesn't matter if it's Raw or SmackDown. Yeah, you're going to get to see different guys, but the style is the same.
They don't care, though, do they? All they care about is money.
No, I completely agree.
Also, I'm going to argue and be pedantic with one point there, Nick. I don't think the style is quite the same. For me, there's been a big difference this past 2 years between Raw and SmackDown, and it's all to do with the pacing and the time available. SmackDown very rarely gets matches that go more than 12 or 15 minutes.
Agreed.
Raw normally has one or two every week, and I prefer that pacing. SmackDown often feels rushed, more entertainment-based. Raw feels maybe a little bit flatter, but the in-rings maybe a little bit better. And I think that's what they're going for, to kind of like enhance those differences.
Yeah, which would be interesting because you had more of a entertainment. I mean, let's look at the some of the things. I mean, Seth Rollins obviously going to end up on Raw now with Becky being on there. Makes sense. Yeah. But you've got Cody, you've got Becky so far, Gunther, Matt Riddle, Drew McIntyre, The Miz, Shinsuke Nakamura. So all of them, minus Indy Hartwell, are not bad in ring. So, that could be where they're trying to get that, as you say, Si. If you look at that, it is quite thingy, isn't it? It is quite like...
Wrestler heavy.
Wrestler heavy, yeah.
Let me ask you guys this. Right, we also had another announcement last week on Raw.
Yes, hang on. I'm just about to get to that.
But I wanted to ask... Okay.
And Andy's just given me the perfect segue. Very wrestler heavy. After having the new world title announced on Monday, Triple H said it's going to be the wrestler's belt. Do you think that's the point of what they're doing with this year's draft? Keeping the likes of Cody, Seth, and so on Raw, because it's going to be the belt that's contested every month. It's going to be the belt that's really wrestled for.
Yeah, and do you know who's going to win it?
Seth.
And this is why... No.
Better not be Cody.
The Ring General.
Ooh.
Here's my pick.
Ooh.
If it's your wrestler's belt, Gunther has shown on SmackDown that he will defend that belt inside out, week in, week out. He has done a cracking job with that Intercontinental Championship on SmackDown. You give him that belt, boom.
But I agree.
But we need Gunther to keep the IC belt until September to shatter Honky Tonk Man's record.
And if he wins the world title, they will do what they did with the Ultimate Warrior and have him surrender the IC belt.
Yeah,
because otherwise they will lose a mid card. I'd love to see Gunther win it.
I'm still trying to do a mic drop here, but it's not dropping.
I think it's a fantastic idea, Randy. Gunther is the perfect wrestler. I've said it many times. Everything he does is amazing. Even my dad loves Gunther, and my dad not a wrestling fan.
Just one more thing there as well. Just with the Intercontinental Championship, again, he's got to go till September to beat Honky's record. One, do WWE care about that? Yes. And two, do they?
Yes.
Are you sure they can? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And then, do they care more about that than setting the standard with a new wrestling title that is defended and wrestled for all the time? And could that be a thing?
If it's not Gunther, as long as it's not Cody, right? It just shouldn't be Cody. That's not the belt Cody wants.
I think we'll agree. If Cody wins this new title, it's a consolation prize.
Exactly.
I'm with Jim here. I think a heel Drew would be great. I think Seth would be great. I think Gunther would be great down the line.
Riddle would be good. I'd like to see Riddle with the belt because, as Jake the Snake Roberts used to say, titles are there to make stars. Don't need them, don't use them. Gunther's already a star. Seth's already a star. Drew's already a star. Riddle could really use that belt to help.
Yeah, I also suppose if Randy's not too far away, you could have Riddle win it, Randy come out to celebrate RKO. Later, we've got our first feud.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Very good balance.
I mean, what do we think about the actual belt? Do you guys like the design?
Love it.
I really like it. It's got. I figured there was going to be branding on it, but it's not too intrusive. I think it's a very nice looking belt in the same way the UK Championship was a very nice looking belt. It's very pretty.
Yes.
It doesn't look like the horrible jam belts that they've made for the last 5 years. So I'm happy.
No. I think it looks great. I think it could be down the line very prestigious. I think it's kind of ironic that it's 20 years, pretty much to the week, a few weeks difference from when Triple H got the big gold out of a briefcase on Raw. So it's kind of, and then he announces this. You know, that's
I mean, you know me, mate. I'm a belt mark. I love me belts. Obviously, I used to own quite a few of them. Don't know more. When I seen that one, I went and had a look straight away and was like, "Ooh, should I?" Because I really loved it. Really liked it.
It's a gorgeous belt.
It's a modern. It's everything that the WWE Championship should be. As in, I don't mind the big logo in the middle and all that, because that's what they need for this modern time. That's what they want, brand awareness, etc. But it does have the nod to the old belts and stuff like that, which is really nice. You know, and that's something that for me the WWE Championship should have that it doesn't have. I think it's got a lot more character.
That's the perfect word, character. The current Universal and WWE titles have absolutely zero character. It's just a children's toy that's more expensive. This looks like a championship. This looks like something people fight for and some people are proud to own.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, guys, just both of you, very quickly. Do you believe that Roman gets a new belt off the back of this?
I think he has to, doesn't he? Like, if they're going to have the World Heavyweight title on Raw, what's the point in Roman being the undisputed champion with 2 titles? Surely they has to give him a new belt.
Just redesign it in gold. You know, you've got a red one and a blue one. Just give him a gold one.
Yeah.
And they could actually give it him in Saudi to celebrate 1,000 days.
1,000-day reign.
Yeah. Would you go down the route of just giving him a gold on site, or would you do something like along the Winged Eagle type approach with it?
I'd give him a gold one and maybe a few balloons.
Yeah.
No, but back to the belt though, right? I love the design of it. I'm just very much less is more guy. I might have mentioned this a few times.
No, never.
One world title is enough, and they need to make me care about this new belt. At the minute, I don't give a crap. They need to make me care about it. So I'm hoping we're going to get a good tournament. Seth, Cody, Gunther. You know, there's a lot of big names in there. I just hope it's going to be good.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't made me care about the belt yet, but what they have done is they've intrigued me, because there's a lot more possibilities now. And obviously, you know, for our little man's 30th birthday, I know probably watching, happy birthday, Ashton, because it's in a couple of months, when we go to Money in the Bank, you know, it opens up the possibility to me is, what could happen? Because that, where I didn't expect anything at Money in the Bank. Obviously, we'll get a new Money in the Bank winner, but you don't expect any cash in or anything to happen because of the fact that Roman wasn't even going to be there. So getting that new belt does open up a bit more possibilities and a bit more.
Sorry, I just thought of a glaring name that wasn't drafted, I believe, this week. Brock Lesnar.
Don't you put that out into the universe, Nicholas.
You two are going to be black and blue, man. You just rooting each other all the time.
I am not talking. Get back over there. I am not talking about putting the belt on Brock. I am saying, why wasn't he drafted?
Well,
do we think the rumors of him leaving are now semi-confirmed?
No.
Because you think Brock Lesnar... No, but you think in WWE, Brock Lesnar will be one of the first names drafted.
Yeah, but there's different pools.
First round.
So if you can imagine, there's 4 pools, not necessarily in like importance order, and they've been put in different pools. So Brock could be drafted either way on Monday or next Friday or the Monday after.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. The other thing as well is keep that belt as far away as possible from Mr. Lesnar.
Yeah, no way should Brock ever win the new World Heavyweight title.
3 people that belt should not go anywhere near, and that is Brock Lesnar, Cody Rhodes, and Sami Zayn.
Yeah, agree. Completely agree. And also, it should definitely go to Gunther or Seth Rollins. Yeah. Like, if you're going to put it on one or the other, Gunther for the perfect heel champ, Seth for the current perfect babyface champ.
Driv King says, give Roman a winged eagle version so we can troll Cody with it. Oh, yes. Definitely.
Yes, definitely. Because Roman's probably going to keep that belt till next WrestleMania and beat Hogan's record and then drop it to Cody in a rematch. Because Cody's going to win the Rumble again. But this time we'll do it from number 1. And I'm calling that now.
Now we're getting this second title introduced, right? Do you guys think this gives more importance to Money in the Bank? Because whoever wins it is the choice of titles?
Yes.
Or does it just make it more likely that they're going to go after the Raw champion because they know they can't beat Roman Reigns?
Well, Triple H did basically say nobody can beat Roman, so we're creating a new belt.
Yeah, but is that a segue in the fact is that they want to do this whole thing and then, come after the 1,000-day reign of Saudi, we've got Money in the Bank afterwards, Sammy or somebody or Jey Uso win it and then go and cash it in on Roman anyway. No one said he's going to get to Hulk Hogan's reign. I don't think he will get to Hulk Hogan's reign. I don't think they will go that far with it.
I do, because now he's had it damn nearly 3 years. I don't think he loses it unless it's at a WrestleMania.
What date is it for Hogan's reign? Do we know?
He goes. So Roman's had it 3 years at the end of July, and Hogan had it, I think, just a touch over 4 years.
Yeah.
So I think it would have to be August 2024, somewhere around there. Maybe September 2024. Yeah.
I'm going to check that. Carry on talking, guys.
Did you guys read the small print as well? So it did say when Triple H was announcing this new title and the new tournament, how the winner of this new belt gets to lose to Roman Reigns in a champion versus champion match at Survivor Series.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens, and it will probably be Seth.
I hope Seth wins it. I really do.
So do I.
I don't.
I know he doesn't really need it, but he's the perfect guy to put a wrestler's belt on. Yeah. Like, he'll have banger after banger, week after week after week, and he'll defend it constantly.
Yeah.
He's the perfect guy to put it on, other than Gunther.
In fact, I almost want to go and put a bet on right now that it will be Seth Rollins against Roman Reigns, champion versus champion at Survivor Series.
What series? So I would agree with you that. You should get good odds on that at this point as well. Right, gentlemen, but we are fast approaching that time of day, I'm afraid. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoy what we do here at the Legion, please subscribe to the channel and join the Legion. It really helps us out. It's free, and it's the only way the YouTube algorithm knows we exist. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything we do in the future. We will be back every single week. There's so much more content coming in the next few months. We've got loads to do. Law Wars is going to be restarting. Andy's going to be doing some shorts. We've got there's stuff in the pipeline. We're all just trying to make sure that we can get to it in the time it's done. He's building a studio right now. It takes a lot of work. All right, but thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. I love you all. I've been Nick the Geek. He's been Andy. He's been Si. We'll see you next week.